Hello, my name is Kaydence Swain, and today I would like to talk a little bit about the poem The Tyger by William Blake. Um, Here's a little bit about William Blake. He was born November the 28th, 1757, um, and the poem was published in 1794, 5 years after its counterpart, The Lamb. Um, And it's clear that the tiger, it takes on a more experienced look at the ideas of creation than the lamb. In the lamb, we follow a childlike speaker who really revels in the beauty of God's creation through their innocent discussion. While in the lamb, while in the tiger, we can really see how the speaker's worldview has changed, with them questioning how the creator made such an innocent creature as the lamb and how it could also make a creature such as the fearsome tiger. Okay, so for context, there aren't really many characters that are present in the tiger except for the speaker, the tiger, and the lamb. So, about the speaker is, of course, one of the most important characters throughout the poem. The speaker questions what the role the creator has in their life. They also wonder if the same creator who made the innocent lamb has the capability of creating the fierce tiger. Throughout the poem, the speaker ponders why a god would dare create such an evil creature in a world where they are capable of only creating innocence and purity. And then we have the next character, which is actually the tiger itself. The tiger represents danger and destruction present in the world. The tiger is, of course, one of God's creatures, but the speaker still wonders why it was made. The speaker expresses the dreadful nature of the tiger and wonders, of course, like whether this is the same God and whether they're actually truly capable of such a creation. For the final character, we have the lamb, which is really only briefly mentioned in the poem. The speaker, the lamb really represents the innocence in the world. And of course, it's a callback to, the poem The Lamb, also by William Blake. Um, this poem as a whole really encapsulates the romantic idea of the balance between the role and relation with the creator and the divine creator. And it seems that throughout the poem, Blake seeks to answer the questions that have really been asked since the dawn of religion. Um, why would a loving God who is capable of creating such meek and mild creatures, why would they allow evil to exist in the world? So the lamb and the tiger themselves are animals, sure, but they also are ideas, with the lamb representing purity, innocence, and good, while the tiger represents danger, destruction, and ferocity. Okay, so I just want to read the text real quick. So it goes, Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what a mortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? In what distant deeps or skies burnt the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire? And what shoulder and what art could twist the sinews of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? What the hammer, what the chain? In what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil, what dread grasp dare its deadly terrors clasp? When the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who make the lamb make thee? Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? All right, so that was the whole text. So I think that William Blake's The Tyger shows two sides of creations. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Okay. William Blake's The Tyger shows two sides of creation. I think he seeks to explore the intricacies of God by questioning what kind of creator would choose to create evil in a world full of innocence and purity. I also think, just a little more about it. I think Blake achieves this through the uses of several literary devices, such as symbolism, imagery, and he asks a lot of like rhetorical questions, like who made you and such, like throughout it, that really just like, express like his, concept of like creation. All right. So, for the first stanza, we have Tyger, Tyger, burning bright in the forest of the night. What immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? All right, so I think in this stanza, Blake is setting up the reader to question the tyger. So in lines 1 and 2, they set up the tyger as this ferocious beast stalks through the forest during the night. The speaker is giving like this imagery, so that we can really just understand like the tyger as a character. And then line 3 or 4, like what immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry. I think we're kind of talking about that kind of introduces the point of the poem, which is like what kind of God could create such a fearful creature as the tyger. All right. So now we have stanza number 2. Whereas, of course, in what distance, deeps or skies, birth the fire of thine eyes, on what wings dare he aspire, what hand dare seize the fire? Okay, so to break this down, we see a similar use of imagery as, stanza 1. The speaker really focuses on the fiery eyes of the tyger, and where did they come from? So I think that this line where it says, the eyes must have been forged in distant deeps or skies, I think that's an allusion to the Christian concept of heaven and hell. I think it's pretty interesting that, they also use wings and fire, of course. So that would really match up, like, the wings go with heaven, the fire goes with hell. So I think that really matches up. So for the next stanza number 3, and what shoulder and what art could twist thy sinews of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? Okay. So for this one, I think that the speaker is talking a little bit more about the creator himself. Previously we're focusing on the tyger. Now we're focusing on, of course, the creator. I think that they are kind of wondering, like, whose hands literally breathed life into the tyger, like who made the tyger's heartbeat. And I also like to note that it frames the creation of the tyger as a laborious process, of course. So I think that really just outlines, I think this is like a good example of Blake using using imagery here, just to like describe this creator a little more. Okay. And of course this is a shift in tone from the last few stanzas. Okay. So next we have stanza number 4. What the hammer, what the chain, in what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil, what dread grasp, dare its deadly terrors clasp? Okay, so we get, of course, further discussion. We kind of go back to the tyger a bit about his creation. But this time it's really interesting. So the creator, this god, is compared to a blacksmith. And I think this is an interesting metaphor when you consider like how, the creation has been described before. Like, it's been described as this laborious process, which of course blacksmithing is a very labor intensive process. It's not gentle. Like if you're having this imagery of the lamb, you'd expect maybe a little more of a gentle process. No, so for the tiger, it's not that he did not choose this gentle process. Interestingly, he mentions the forge, like when he says, "In what furnace was thy brain?" Um, I think that this could be a callback to the depths of hell from line 5. I think the speaker is questioning whether it is a separate darker entity that creates the tiger compared to what creates the lamb, like perhaps like Satan or just some alternate dark force. Okay. Um Now this is stanza 5 is one of, in my opinion, the most important stanzas in the whole poem. When the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who make the lamb make thee? Okay, so stanza 5 is a significant point in the poem, and of course, it's possibly one of the most important. So Blake personifies the stars where in lines 2 and 4, where he's talking about them throwing down the spears. I believe that this could be a reference to the fallen angel Lucifer of Christian faith, which would make a lot of sense. Like Lucifer, Satan, whatever you want to call him, that would make a lot of sense for this like religious imagery here, like questioning, like, oh, did God create the fierce creatures in the world? Did Satan? But then, interestingly, it's two sides of the creator explored here. The side that's capable of creating love, gentleness, and peace, which is symbolized by the lamb, and the side capable of creating death, ferocity, and destruction. Of course, Blake's inclusion of the lamb in line 20 is an allusion itself to his previous poem, The Lamb, which is, of course, the sister poem to the tiger. And that one really discusses a speaker speaking of the beauty of God's creation. This allusion is important because it's a contrast. It's a contrast between the lamb and the tiger. And also, interestingly, if you were to think that the speaker from the lamb is also the speaker from the tiger, you could see how they may have become a little more jaded over time with the world, a little more frustrated. But yes, this is a very important stanza. Okay, finally, we have stanza number 6, which goes, "Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what a mortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry?" Okay, so of course this is a repetition of the first stanza, but there is a major difference. So on the last line, the speaker says, "Dare frame thy fearful symmetry." That is a change from when the speaker says, "Could frame thy fearful symmetry." So in the first stanza, they say, "Could frame thy fearful symmetry." In stanza number 6, they said, "Who dare frame thy fearful symmetry." This is a small change, but I really think that this just tells me that the speaker is growing frustrated with like religion. They're growing frustrated with their God. They're like, how dare you create this sort of being? I think this is a big turning point because they've really gone from like sort of passively questioning, like, oh, did you create this fierce entity? But now they're like almost demanding to know, why did you create this entity? Why do you create negative in a world where there could just be positive and good? Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about the structure. So both the first stanza and the sixth stanza have an A, B, C rhyme scheme. I believe this is intentional because it breaks up the almost like lullaby, like innocent sounding sound, and and I think that really like kind of draws attention to like, oh, we're talking about the tiger. It's like more of like a fierce thing. Um, Line force, which is from tracheic tetrameter to iambic tetrameter. This disruption in the expected pattern draws attention to these lines, which both seem to question what being would dare create the fearsome tiger. Another example of Blake, of course, questioning his creator and the creation of violence and evil. The rest of the poem follows an almost childish style, and a lot of it rhymes. It could be sung by a child, almost like a lullaby, or like not, maybe not like a lullaby, but like I imagine like a children's poem. You know, it's almost like it's easy to read, except for these parts that like kind of break up the expected pattern. And I think this could really represent this like disruption on the innocent outlook on the creation, which is seen more in the Lamb. Okay. Um, so to conclude, Blake's poem The Lamb seeks to explore the character of a creator who is capable of creating both good and bad. This poem expresses aspects of naturalism by creating a speaker who seeks to explore the role of a divine creator in their life. This poem explores the concept of a creator who is neither completely malevolent nor completely benevolent, as they explore the beauty and horror of God's creation. The speaker establishes opposite forces in the form of the lamb and the tiger. The lamb could represent innocence, while the tiger represents experience. You know, that's a callback to, of course, Innocence and Experience by William Blake. Overall, Blake does a really excellent job exploring different aspects of divine creation, and I think this poem is really a perfect example of romantic poetry. I think it really highlights it, and yeah, I think it's just like a really good example. I'd like to say thank you for listening to my presentation and have a wonderful day.